Hello and welcome back to Kill a Delibird, the podcast that is number one in our hearts. And just our hearts, but someday your hearts as well.
Aww.
This is the podcast where we dive into old Pokemon episodes, talk about them from a few different angles as, pieces of Pokemon, but then also as stories, compare them to other stories we know, other anime. I'm Graham, and I know things that aren't Pokemon, I guess, or at least I'll try to. And my co-host Kellen here is the Pokemon expert. Why don't you introduce yourself, Kellen?
Hi. I'm here.
He's here. So what makes you the Pokemon expert?
Well, I've been playing Pokemon pretty religiously for about 20 years. About 21 years now, because I'm 24. Jesus Christ.
You started playing when you were 3?
Yep.
Wow.
Pokemon Red was my first game.
Could you read?
Yeah.
You could read at 3. Prodigy.
Yeah, I was a fluent reader by kindergarten.
Wow. That's actually very impressive.
And then, as all gifted children at that age, I fell off.
Yeah.
And now I'm a mess, so.
Are you?
But what else do you expect? I'm a disaster.
It's, that's who I want to listen to on a podcast, though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want someone to get on there and be like, this is exactly how you should live. Like those, business podcasts. Get out of here.
I'll be your life coach.
Yeah.
Sign up for my website, $5,000.
Exactly.
Per seminar. All right, we should probably get into it because we got 3 episodes.
We got 3 episodes. I do think it's good to chat a bit, just so that the listeners kind of know who we are. But I agree. This is a stacked one, and we're doing 3 because we want to do 3 next week as well to get all this.
Oh baby,
that has a bit of a theme. So we got 2 triples.
Yeah, we'll get it more into that next week.
Yeah, so we're doing a triple. So the episodes this week are episode 7. The Water Flowers of Cerulean City, Episode 8, The Path to the Pokemon League, and Episode 9, The School of Hard Knocks. Mm-hmm. So let's start at Episode 7. How'd you like this one?
It was... I liked it. I thought it was fine.
I liked it too, actually. I liked this one the best of the 3.
The next 2 are pretty filler.
They're filler. There's some interesting themes that we'll dig into. I've got some themes, and that's all I can bring. Mm-hmm. But this one was the best as sort of I guess, progressing the story, but then also the action. This one had the best action by far.
Yes.
Yeah.
And before we get started, I do want to say I have to make an apology out there. Not for yelling at you last week, because that was funny. Yeah. But we have been making a quite egregious error.
Oh my god.
Since the start of the podcast. If you don't know, whenever we've been talking about multiples of Pokemon, we have been referring to them as the Pokemon with an S at the end. So many Pikachu we were calling Pikachus. That is wrong. Any plural of a Pokemon's name is just the Pokemon's name.
Okay.
It is supposed to. And I've known that this whole time. I don't know why I haven't brought it up.
I did not know that.
I just wanted to make sure that we knew this.
Sense. I mean, there's plenty of other animal names in real life that are like that, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like deer. Any Pokemon is like deer.
So you don't say deers. You don't say gooses. Yeah.
Well, you don't say goose either. You say geese. But right. Moose.
That was a weird example.
Many moose.
Because you don't say meese.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You can tell we're in Canada because our go-to animals were geese, moose, and deer. Yeah.
All right, now we can get into the episode.
Kick us off.
All right,
kick us off. You're the plot guy.
So last we left off, our friends... we just left Mount Moon. We're on our way to Cerulean City. And Brock and Ash have seemingly ditched Misty again. And we're off to Cerulean. Misty did not like that too much. She was very, very apprehensive about adventuring into Cerulean City. And she's just trying to veer Brock and Ash off of the Cerulean path, telling them that there's ghost Pokemon there. Oh my god.
This part made me laugh a little bit. Because Misty goes on this whole rant. It's really scary. It's a horrible place. And Ash is like this is where his brain's at, and this is Ash logic. He's like, well, I need more badges, and there's a gym in Cerulean City, so we should go to Cerulean. And Brock goes, makes sense to me. It's like, yeah, okay.
It makes sense.
It makes sense.
And if you're going to be a Pokemon trainer, you need to start learning about all kinds of different Pokemon. So who cares if there's ghost Pokemon there?
Yeah,
There
that would
isn't,
be
but who cares?
interesting, right? And it's funny that is an actual thing, ghost Pokemon. There is a town later which is full of ghost Pokemon.
Yeah.
So it could have been plausible, but
in Gen 1 though, there's only one line of ghost Pokemon, but still.
Oh, yeah.
And so we cut over to Team Rocket. We see Team Rocket for the first time. Quick little scene. They've broken into a building somewhere, and we see this big machine. This is gonna come back later.
Yeah. So they've broken in somewhere allegedly, and then we're getting into like where our heroes now are going into the city, and there's some commotion going on. We see Jenny right away.
Yep.
And she talks about, okay, yeah, like you've met my sister-in-law from now is that a pun? She's like Joy calls her sisters, right? Like the characters who do the exact same job as her and look exactly like her.
I don't think they're all sisters. I think they all have different familial relations.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll get more into that as we see more. But I'm pretty sure they're more than just sisters.
Well, I really think they're clones then.
Oh.
But with Jenny, like she's a sister-in-law. Like that's okay, why would her sister-in-law, someone married and look exactly like her? That is creepy.
I was thinking the exact
That's a creepy
same thing.
notion. So, am I not taking that literally? And she's like, it's a pun, right? It's because it's her sister. Like her compadre in the legal system.
It's very possible. It's very possible.
And, okay, we had a short that did not that bad a while back where we called Jenny a typical cop. Yeah. And this is more. Like, okay, I got to admit, I went into this anime remembering basically just on design that I was like, oh, Officer Jenny, she seems cute. I think that I probably like her more than Joy. So far, the Officer Jennies are horrible. Mm-hmm. They are cop stereotypes through and through. And this was in the 90s, but she right away is accusing Ash and Brock of being criminals with absolutely no evidence, no reason to even jump there. She's this scary, brutal cop, like almost Law and Order-esque, trying to force confession out of them when there's no reason to.
Yeah, she throws the classic, they always return to the scene of the crime, as if there aren't dozens upon dozens of other people also there.
Right. Yeah, it's 100% a fear tactic. Mm-hmm. So Jenny, like, you have to check your biases. I think, Jenny, you should reflect on what it means to be a cop. Because this behavior, oh boy.
This is something we're going to keep track of, I think, throughout.
Yeah, the Jenny shitty cop moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we get Brock's very first horny moment. But it's very tame. It's very tame. He just asks her.
It's very tame.
She just asked her if he could take her out or something. That's it.
It's actually respectful.
Very
way
respectful.
To hit on someone, I guess. And she says, "No thanks, you're too young."
Yep.
Okay.
And we learned that someone took a big vacuum and a big hose out of the building. Mm-hmm. That's all we learned from that so far.
Well, so this is kind of where, like, Misty's gone for a bit, and then Ash is asking Brock if he knows about the gym leaders. And this is kind of weird. You asked last episode, I think it was last episode, that why wouldn't Brock know that Misty's a gym leader? And they almost have an opportunity to answer that, to give some sort of background lore, but they don't really follow through with it. Brock's like, he knows of him, okay? He assumes or alludes that the gym leader's male, and then says he can't tell you anything out of respect.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's something like a magician can't reveal their tricks.
That is what that sounded like, yeah. Well, we keep to ourselves, and we're all men doing manly things.
Yeah, why a gym leader couldn't be a woman?
And then Brock disappears. He's like, I got some stuff to check out. And Ash is like, what stuff?
Just stuff.
And that is never resolved.
Nope. We don't hear anything about that.
No, Bulbapedia even says it never comes back. That was weird.
It's just a really lazy way of getting Brock out of there.
Like the writing in this show is sometimes like they don't care. They really that's that part that's like there is some good writing in this show, but there's also this level of writing that doesn't really respect the children, right? It's like I know that it's for kids, but you don't think a kid would be like, what?
I don't think I would have noticed that when I was a kid.
Either that or it's just a joke.
Yeah.
And I'm taking it too seriously.
Maybe he's
but
just
come
going
on.
to he's going to the strip club, I think.
Yeah. Well, he was too respectful earlier, so now he finally has to have his creepy moment. I don't know.
Yeah. So now we see the gym. And do you remember what Pokemon is on the gym? It was a big one.
I think it's a seal.
Oh, close.
Close. Okay.
Close.
What is
It was the evolved form of seal. It was a dugong.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah. So we meet Lily, Violet, and Daisy, the sensational Cerulean synchronized swimming sisters, or some shit like that.
Yeah, and they have these, like, California Valley Girl accents. Like, really obnoxious ones over the top.
Yeah. But Pikachu is enamored by them, and I thought that was just adorable.
Yeah, it was cute.
It was so cute.
By their abilities. Their swimming, synchronized swimming.
And it's a shame Brock's not here, because he would have loved this.
True.
So Ash is very confused. He thinks this is the Pokemon gym, but it doesn't seem like a Pokemon gym. They're just doing swimming tricks. What's going on with this? And it's an aquarium, and we see the aquarium, and there's a bunch of fish in the aquarium.
Real fish.
Real
not
fish.
Pokemon.
They're not Pokemon. What is this? Crazy shit.
I guess, people eat fish, right?
People eat Pokemon.
Which Pokemon?
Well, there's a whole thing, like, the whole lore of Farfetch'd is that it's endangered because people keep eating them.
Oh, yeah.
And Slowpoke tails are a big thing in Gen 2.
Farfetch would be tasty. With that leek, be like a duck soup.
It's one of our categories. How tasty would the Pokemon be?
Oh, Farfetch'd. 10 out of 10.
And then we learned that all of the sisters are all gym leaders, and Pikachu is completely awestruck. I don't do the screenshot thing anymore because it takes way too much time in the video version, but I am going to screenshot Pikachu's emotion to the three sisters because it's the fucking cutest thing.
It's just a good screenshot, eh? Just a
It's
good
fantastic.
reaction.
It might be the thumbnail, honestly. If I can get a shot.
That works. I still can't figure out if I like how these swimmers talk or not, though.
It's awful.
And there are puns. Yeah, they're kind of like, OMG, Ash, you're so awful.
Like, they just keep throwing the word like in everywhere, too.
Yeah. It's very...
You're so, like, awful. Oh my god.
I can't believe you would walk into here and just assume you can battle us. Come on.
So they talk about how... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you...
They talk about how they've been beaten 3 times in a row from all the other pallet trainers. They're just done. Yeah. They're tired. They don't want to battle anymore. They're just going to
give him a badge,
yeah,
which was in Seal's mouth all along. That was kind of weird.
This should be illegal. The whole league thing seems like this government organization thing. The top line of the government. Gym leaders should not be allowed to just give a badge like this. There should be punishments for this kind of shit.
Yeah. What exactly is the authority of a gym leader? We're going to go into, I guess, legal ramifications of kind of all of this Pokemon stuff in the next episode a lot, as we see kind of how people treat Pokemon. And I thought of that with Seal. Like, Seal has the badge in its mouth, and it just, like, pukes up the badge for people to get. I don't know. Keep your badges in a desk, man. Why inside of a seal?
Who knows? The Pokemon world is weird.
It's interesting. I want to get to the bottom of this. This is hard-cutting journalism.
So they're refusing to battle, and they just want to give Ash the badge and have him go on his merry way. He's not very happy about that. But then Misty comes back. She is the 4th sister.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. She's a gym leader, too. What a twist. Twisty twist.
Yeah. And she left to become better on her own kind of thing. But the sisters are treating her. They think she's kind of the runt of the family. The sisters are just assholes to her, too.
Well, they assume that Ash is her boyfriend.
Right.
Which is a funny moment.
Because people can't be platonic in the 90s.
No, it's not allowed. And we get into the gym battle. Misty versus Ash.
Yeah, so Misty says, I'll fight him if you guys can't fight. I'll prove myself.
And she almost does.
Yeah, but Pikachu doesn't want to fight Misty. Because Pikachu and Misty are bros.
Pikachu loves Misty.
Yeah, Pikachu's like, we're ride or die homies. I'm not gonna fight her.
He likes Misty more than he likes Ash, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So he goes Butterfree
a Butterfree,
versus
yeah.
Staryu, yeah.
Staryu.
And we get the classic Staryu, yeah!
Right?
Yeah,
and
instead
Ash
of saying
goes,
his name.
leave it to a girl to show off jewelry. Like, very gendered episode. This is not stuff that, like, you throw around casually anymore, because it's just kind of petty and rude.
He thinks one tackle from Butterfree also is going to be enough to take out the Staryu. It's not.
He's an idiot.
That's not going to happen.
It's good Ash moron
Tackle
moment.
is a garbage move.
Right.
It's good fight, though, I think. Tackles, water guns.
This is the best fight of these 3 episodes. We get a bit of Sakuga. We get a bit of that, good animation in here. And a good variety of moves. So we get the tackle, we get a water gun. Butterfree uses Stun Spore. This is kind of a funny but bizarre moment. So he uses Stun Spore. And apparently the Staryu is in pain, and Ash is like, it doesn't have a face. How can you tell it's in pain? And then Misty's like, well, you're the dummy, because how'd you know that Sunspore can't just be washed off? So Staryu just jumps in the water, and then the Sunspore's gone.
Yeah, this is not a game mechanic. This is not a game mechanic.
No, it is.
If a Pokemon is Stun-Spored, you can't just hit it with a water move and have it be cured of that. That's not how that fucking works, anime.
That's what I was thinking. You could have an item then that's just like a water hose, like a super soaker, and just clean your Pokemon off.
So Staryu tackles Butterfree down into the water. Staryu has won this battle. Ash sends out Pidgeotto, Misty swaps into Starmie. Starmie is her team from the original games. So.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering about that. So Staryu evolves into Starmie, right?
Yes.
And she just has 2.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this was still good. This had some hype battle music too. Not every episode has really good music. This one had some cool music in it though.
Ash tries for the whirlwind. Starmie's able to tackle it. He commands Pidgeotto to use wing attack, which I thought was really funny because wing attack in the anime apparently is just a flap with the wing.
Right.
Just smacks it and that's it. And then Gust is able to nearly take it out. Smashes it against the wall. And then, just before Ash is about to win, we get Team Rocket crashing the party.
Yeah, and the battle doesn't really get to end because of that. This is kind of a thing, isn't it? Of battles, like, not really finishing.
Yeah.
Bit of a cliche.
So Jesse and James start on their motto thing, and here's an interesting animation error. James's rose is blue.
Oh, instead of red?
Red? It's supposed to be red. Oh. So we get confirmation.
Come on, people.
So we get confirmation that they were the thieves that broke into that store. They used the vacuum to flood the place up and suck up all the Pokemon.
And when they break in, Ash goes, I should have known it was them. Which is just like, I don't know. It's kind of funny because, okay, for one, you shouldn't just assume that once a criminal, always a criminal. But also, like, in the language of the Pokemon episodes, in sort of the plot language that they've established for us, they're the only possibility, really. So him saying I should have known it was them is sort of like the audience being like, yeah, if you didn't assume it was them, like, are you paying attention?
Yeah, we haven't seen any other criminal activity from any other character up to this point. And so they're sucking up all the Pokemon, and Ash has a genius moment. Water conducts electricity. Pikachu used Thunderbolt and completely fries Team Rocket to shreds.
Yeah, it's the first time he remembers his, like, basic science. And we get a really weird line from James here that is not... I don't think we're supposed to think that much into it, but
no.
He goes, times like these make me want to go straight, which is... You could take that all kinds of places, especially if you think of James as kind of more like effeminate sides. But I don't think they're going for anything about James's sexuality.
It's just a joke about their crook lifestyle with a smattering of, oh, we're playing on the fact that, we haven't really confirmed James's sexuality.
Yeah, sexuality.
Sexuality.
This is the kind of thing, though, like in the 90s, they were loose and fast with this sort of language.
Very much
right?
so.
It's like we didn't have the same level of social conscious around, thinking about how the meaning of words and how that reflects on representation and stuff like that. So this is a bit of a bullheaded joke.
They're products of their times.
They're products of their time.
And I think it's important to look at them like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Pretty much any source of media for those kinds of lines, I think it's important to take the context of the time into it. Unless it's clear that, like, no, this is really egregious and really fucked up.
I totally agree, and same goes with the discussions of the cop stuff, because that, like, to us now, that's sort of a dated view of it's not forward facing like how a cop should be. It's sort of accepted as it is that people have these sort of relationships with law enforcement, and that can go all kinds of places. But yeah, absolutely right. It's a product of the 90s.
Look at us getting into these social issues on this very serious podcast.
Well, and we should put the disclaimer that we're not really equipped to talk about this stuff in the nuance that it deserves. So we'll kind of leave it at that. But but we'll expose it at least.
Mm-hmm. And so Ash stops the machine. He saves Pikachu. I noted here, when Pikachu is in the arms of one of the Cerulean sisters, he looks tiny. He looks so small, and I don't understand why.
Is it just one of those, like, okay, in that frame, his proportions are different?
I think so.
Because that is definitely an anime thing. So you could have one frame where they're drawn a little bit different. That's like, okay.
And so the sisters say that the match was postponed due to drain. Good pun. Good pun.
Yeah.
And they give Ash the badge. I would say he did actually earn this one. He almost had won. He would have won if Pikachu would have fought for him, and he saved all the Pokemon with a brilliant move. I think he earned this one.
I think it worked out in the end.
Mm-hmm. I think on a technicality sense, obviously no in terms of what should be the quote-unquote government league rules and shit, but, look in your heart. I think he got this one.
Right. Well, and they don't give a fuck. Like, they were about to give him a badge for doing nothing.
For showing up.
So these sisters, like, they're, I don't know, they're out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and fight was a draw, I guess, but yeah, they give him the badge, and the episode ends with just more Misty and Ash Classic arguing.
Yeah, but Brock comes back, and Ash says, "Yo, Brocco."
Brocco.
Which I thought was a weird line.
It is.
And that's the first episode.
Yeah, so for themes that are in this, there is a really long-running anime theme. And I think this anime theme actually has its bearing in its origin in older stories of people hiding their identity until a convenient moment kind of thing, where they do show, oh, I am a person, this is my origin, or this is my power. Basically every shonen anime does this, where it's like, oh, by the way, I'm actually the prince of blah, blah, blah. And a lot of Shakespeare stories do this. People are pretending to be other people. I looked into a bit on the Japanese side what kind of folk tales this might have drawn from. And I'm really talking about Misty, not revealing kind of her origin story until the convenient moment. There's a tale called Kuzunoha about a fox, where a person finds this fox and saves it in the wilderness, and then way later a woman comes and meets him, and then it's revealed later that this woman was actually the fox from far before, kind of, in a dramatic reveal, sort of. It always felt some kinship towards this person for saving him. So I think that's kind of where we can trace back some of these origins.
Sure. We can go with that.
The big reveal.
Yeah.
So, all right. Quad POR time.
The 4-pour. Pulling up the 4-pour.
Reminder to the audience, we have a bunch of categories on ping pong balls. We randomly pull 2 and assess the episode based on that. Love to get more ideas for categories. Shout us out in the comments or email us at tequiladelibird@gmail.com. All right, let's hear our categories for this episode.
All right, our first category will be horny Brock moments. Good one to start on.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's our first horny Brock moment ever, right?
Yeah, it is. Very tame.
It's very tame.
I think the charm of Brock's moments like this in future seasons is that like they are way over the top.
Yeah, they're not like silly.
Yeah, and I don't think they're like done in that creepy way. I think they're over the top in the way that makes it funny because no one's taking him seriously. But this one is super, super tame, super normal.
Yeah.
It's only the one in this episode.
And I don't mind that it's tame and normal.
No, not at all.
I thought it establishes the character while being fine, being respectful. So I'm leaning towards a 6.
Yeah, I was going to say 5, so we can go 6.
If we pull this on episode 9, though, there's something very, very creepy in episode 9. But anyways.
Yeah, I'm good with the 6, and we'll average that with category number 2, which will be the jelly donut effect.
Okay, so the jelly donut effect is a sort of weird translation kind of things. So we do have to jump to, there actually is one. There is one here, which I didn't want to bring up before because it's a little bit sensitive. But in the original Japanese, when Ash uses the Pokedex on Staryu, it classifies it as kind of non-binary gendered. And then Ash and Misty have some sort of banter about Misty telling that gender shouldn't matter. Love matters and that sort of thing. And then they switch that to the weird gender joke about jewelry, about women liking jewelry. So that would be the jelly donut effect. So I do think that applies here. But it's like it's a weird line to start with. Like it is a line that probably should have been changed.
Yeah. So like, is this one of those another one of those moments where it's like we look at it as the product of its time, because it is that, and then it also has kind of a more ahead of its time portion of that in terms of Misty saying gender shouldn't matter, which is true because the Pokedex uses a term to describe Staryu that these days we definitely wouldn't use to describe people.
Yeah, it's a
very dated term. But at the time, it was more accepted en masse. But if it was made today, they definitely would not use that term.
Yeah, they would
change it. But yes, this is what we're calling the jelly donut effect. Is things that were changed from the Japanese to the English localization. And it's based on the fact that later in the series we'll see when they're eating rice balls, they refer to them as jelly donuts.
Yeah, rice balls, onigiri in Japan, calling them jelly donuts. Yeah, so I don't know how to rank this, though, because it's not like I like either line. I don't like the English or the Japanese line, or find either funny, so I don't know.
Yeah.
As for an effect, it is a good example of one, though. So if we just rank it on, then. Yeah, if we rate it on, okay, was the jelly donut effect present to give us a good discussion? I'd say it was, so like a 7.
But then the jelly donut effect also takes something a little iffy and changes it into something again a little iffy. So I think we can knock it down maybe 2 to like a 5.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So then average those together. Water Flowers of Cerulean City receives a 5.5. One of the better performing episodes we've seen so far.
5.5 hayas.
Ha!
Ha! So cool.
And that is episode 7.
Episode 8, Path to the Pokemon League. So we're heading off to Vermilion City next. So we've got this idea that, okay, these... to go around the Pokemon League, get these badges, there's like preferred routes, that sort of thing. Now, the route between Cerulean and Vermilion apparently has a lot of trainers on it. That's sort of something they establish.
Yeah, so Ash doesn't know where he's going. He doesn't remember.
Just typical.
All he knows is that he's beating kids up and flexing his 2 badges that he got on technicalities.
Oh, big man. 2 badges.
2 badges.
Tough boy.
Yeah, and we get a burn from Brock and Misty. They say he's getting a big head, but his brain's still the same size.
Wah, wah.
Ooh.
He's very cocky here. He's like, oh my god, I'm the best. We see him beating a Rattata, and this is apparently his 10th victory. He's like, oh yeah, I'm so good.
Good job, Ash. We're all proud of you.
Yes.
Yeah. And they tell him about AJ, who has this gym around these parts.
Yeah, who built his own gym.
And then we meet AJ, who is some Dragon Ball looking ass.
Yeah, he's got this big Yu-Gi-Oh! Green hairdo kind of thing. Or I guess it's more like Sasuke from Naruto, but it's he could almost be a character in Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, he's got that sort of big hair. Shadow's long-lost brother.
And he also wields a fucking whip.
And he has this really hokey accent. So we had hokey accents in the last episode with the Cerulean sisters. And now we've got... He has this... what even kind of accent is this? Like, it's Southern, but I don't know if that is a real Southern accent.
Yeah, I've got no idea how to classify that.
He's like, did you buy all those badges? Did you buy them? Those are some loser gym trainers you beat. Like, it's weird.
And then Brock and Misty hear that remark, and they get
they're
pissed. They are pissed.
We're not losers. You're a loser.
And Ash claims that I have 10 wins and 2 Pokemon badges, and we get a funny little gag of his nose growing like Pinocchio.
Right.
Which I thought was cute.
Well, yeah, this is kind of the ego still coming out. He's met someone who's cockier than himself. Like, AJ's also cocky, but in a different way. In a different way, we'll reveal. And so they're getting into a fight here. We get introduced to Sandshrew, the ground type. And Ash is still so dumb and cocky. Too bad Sandshrew can't fly. And then Sandshrew's doing like a Sonic the Hedgehog spin ball in the air.
Yeah, it turns out this Sandshrew can fucking fly.
Yeah, he's like homing in on him.
Yeah. And so Pidgeotto is just out of the battle. 1 hit, 1 or 2 hits, it's bad. Butterfree's out next, and then 1 hit takes out Butterfree. It's just
he tries using Stun Spore. Too bad there isn't a hose lying around so he can wash that off. But AJ takes him out. Not so free anymore, buddy boy.
And we cut back to Team Rocket. They're spying. That's all we see of them again. We get a lot
like, that's Sandshrew. We want that Sandshrew. And they start hating on AJ's clothes, though. They're like, oh my god, how he dresses. Can you believe it?
For good reason. So Ash is lost. He's having a meltdown because he's a child and can't handle losing.
I liked this part, though, because now we're getting introduced to some big... This episode is pure filler, but it actually has some big themes around it. And I think it's about our relationship as a society between merit, what we perceive as earned merit, both as part of these established systems and kind of merit on their own. Ash is upset because he's the one with the badges, so in his head, he should have won. He's saying, I have some social indicator that I'm better than you. How could I lose? So it's this tension between social merit, like the merit of the society, and actual aptitude. So have you... I've got a few references that I want to tie that into. So my anime illusion... Have you heard of the anime, very, very popular anime, One Punch Man?
Yes.
Yes, One Punch Man. Okay. I used to not really like One Punch Man, but then I read all the manga, and it's actually brilliant because it comes off as this silly gag sort of show where it's about a guy who can defeat anyone in one punch. But what it's actually about is the tension in the society between how the society rewards heroes who it thinks are good, and then how how that system would perceive people who are not part of that system, but actually very strong. So Saitama, the One Punch Man, who can defeat anyone in one punch, is not part of any accredited system. They have a big system in this world where they rank heroes. So there's C rank, B rank, A rank, S rank. S rank are the greatest heroes ever. And at the start, Saitama is given like a really bad ranking because he just doesn't fit into their system. They can't perceive that there would be someone not in their system who would actually be as strong as him. So it's this constant tension between no one in the world perceives him as a great hero, but he's actually the greatest hero. And that's what I first started thinking about in Ash's reaction here, is sometimes we buy into these social constructs so much that we get blinded to people that don't fit into it. There's also a great classic novel called The Stranger or The Outsider, depending how it's translated, by Albert Camus. I think his last name might be pronounced Camus or something like that because it's French. But it's all about a man who's on trial for a murder, and instead of in the trial, instead of investigating, talking about actual evidence, things around the murder, people are just probing at the man himself. So they're talking about how people saw him at his mother's funeral and he didn't seem sad. Things like that. They're probing him about how does he fit into the society, into the expectations of a society, and not paying attention to what actually happened. So those are my literary comparisons for this episode.
Yeah, you're avoiding my wrath this time.
Hey, trying to do my job. What do you think?
There you go.
What do you think?
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very sensitive. All I do in life is to get a well done. So this theme, though, takes a swerve fast, though, and I get a little bit confused on how to think about this morally. So we hear AJ screaming at his Pokemon, and go and they walk into his gym, and it's like this twisted, demented circus where there's like giant hamster wheels, and he's like
rings of fire.
And it almost looks like he's torturing these Pokemon.
Yeah, it's slightly fucked.
Yes. Slightly fucked. Great take.
Thank you.
Yeah, what do you think of this scene?
It's interesting because it's definitely supposed to show us at the start that AJ is mistreating his Pokemon.
Right.
But then as the episode continues, we learn that the Pokemon are loyal to him and are enjoying this training. Is that they actually do it, or are they having some Stockholm syndrome?
Right.
I don't know.
It's a weird swerve because the theme at the end is sort of that, you shouldn't judge from the outside because there's different ways to do things.
Yeah.
But we don't know. Is Ash sort of a not a trustworthy perspective, and he sees them as being tortured because he wants to think his way of training is better. That's not actually what's happening. Or is he actually abusing his Pokemon? And like you said, it's some sort of Stockholm Syndrome. The Pokemon don't really have the autonomy to do anything else. I don't know how to take this morally.
Yeah, me neither.
And it sort of shifts away from some of the themes that I was first talking about, because I don't know if AJ is actually... it almost... I said it makes us reflect on if the social constructs that we sort of look towards to evaluate merit are valuable, when there can be people outside of that who are very good at things. But then it's this is absolutely why we need these constructs, is to regulate, is to avoid abuse, is to avoid people leaning into that system so hard that they say mistreat their Pokemon or take advantage of people. And so I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. It's uncomfortable, actually.
So many moral and social issues in this episode.
In a filler episode.
not even just this episode, this podcast episode. Oh my god.
Oh, it's a tough one.
There's so many, so much
racking our brains.
And I want a blanket statement, like, if we ever say anything that's not, like, totally kosher, don't, like, just let us learn. We want to learn.
Cancel us. Bring it on. Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's such a volatile, there's a lot of volatility online these days. And
there is a lot of volatility, mob justice.
Yeah. I think it's more important to let people learn rather than just immediately tell them that they're a bad person. But
yeah, people want to put other people into boxes, similar to how Ash wants to see the world just based in badges.
Exactly.
Wow, my comparisons today.
Bringing it back.
I really am overcorrecting from last week. I'm nothing but comparative analysis.
Oh, this is a weird episode.
Oh, it's a beautiful one. Yeah, and okay, so let's get back into the plot. They're swerving right away from AJ being abusive to, but he actually, like, feeds them really well and has
They've all got their own special blends.
Yeah, it's got it down to a science. Bizarre.
Yeah, and then you see Pikachu can't lift a dumbbell, which is a very, very cute moment.
Yeah, and there's some sort of joke here about, I said pacing, not passing, and then I said padding. No, I said passing.
Pacing.
It's like, okay.
It's, just from what I saw on Bubblepedia, it's there's some pun in Japanese about it.
Yeah, there's a pun that only works in Japanese.
Yeah.
It's similar to the cow one back with Cowderpea in a previous episode, so jelly donut time.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
Because it doesn't work in English. You're like,
no.
What? You're like, what?
What? Why is there a pillow now? This makes no sense.
Yeah, this makes no sense. So Team Rocket, though.
They're back.
Yeah.
Meowth wants to do a sing and dance.
Meowthic.
For their motto. Some Meowthic.
That's his pun on music. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then Jesse and James threaten to murder him.
Oh, brutal.
You know what they say, choreography killed the cat.
So we cut back. AJ is now sounding abusive again. You wimps got a 15-minute break. No pain, no gain in my place. It's weird, but then we get a really cute moment between Pikachu and Sandshrew where they're kind of just like hanging out, and then they both like get turned into like, okay, Pikachu accidentally touches those like enforcer things that are like the strength enforcer things that are like binding them, and he gets pulled into a ball, and Sandshrew's like, yeah, I can actually turn it into a ball.
That's
and
my
this
thing.
Is the time when Team Rocket shows up and they're looking for Pikachu, and for some reason they think the Sandshrew's Pikachu because they're both curled into balls, and they take the Sandshrew.
And so they get out with the Sandshrew, and they're like, oh my god, we did it. And then they find out, no, it was the Sandshrew, and Sandshrew immediately escapes because it's a very, very strong Sandshrew.
Yeah, it's like the best Pokemon we've seen so far.
And then Ash has one of those hero moments where he tries to start an uprising against AJ and tell all his Pokemon, "You can come with me. If you're coming with me, raise your hand." And all the Pokemon
they don't budge
no,
at all.
No, we're not coming with you. It's another one of those moments like, do they actually like AJ, or is it stock? Who the fuck knows at this point?
Yeah, it's weird because Ash is going full in on this idea that, well, Sandshrew ran away because you're an asshole, AJ. But AJ's Pokemon are like, no, this is our life, we like it. And yeah, I don't know how to take this again. This is the kind of thing that the show is just being like, don't judge other people, but AJ might actually be committing a crime here.
Yeah.
This is what we're not sure of. He might actually be abusing these Pokemon.
I don't know. But also, when you think about it, wouldn't a Pokemon battle also be abuse by our standards?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
By our societal standards.
That's a good point. That
it's
actual
legal.
Premise is strange. Yeah.
It's legal cockfighting, let's be real.
Regulated child ran cockfighting.
It's just that the Pokemon don't die, they faint.
So the whole moral fabric of the society would seem twisted to us. And that's why it's so tough to evaluate.
Yeah. And Team Rocket's back again. We get the full motto for the very first time. You go from prepare for trouble all the way to Meowth, that's right.
You're going to get mad at me, but I completely blank out during these now. I find them so boring.
Yeah, well, it's the same 40 seconds every
time. Yeah.
It's funny when they get interrupted, but when they go through the whole thing, ugh.
Yeah, it's
boring.
Yeah.
And then when James sounds is coughing, his voice changes. He has a new voice actor from there.
Yeah, I read that. They got a different voice actor now. The original one wanted to pursue theater or something.
Mm-hmm. And I mean,
but does come back later to voice Giovanni?
Yes.
Something like that.
It's changing voice actors isn't like the weird thing. The weird thing is changing voice actors mid-episode.
Mid-episode?
That is strange.
Weird.
Yeah. Like imagine The Office if instead of Michael Scott just leaving, they just swapped Steve Carell for like Paul Rudd. Like mid-episode.
that specific switch sounds hilarious. If it was just suddenly Paul Rudd in the role and they're like acting like nothing's different, that'd be really funny.
Oh, it's a good April Fool's episode idea though for a show.
Well, there is that one that there's that. Speaking of The Office, there's that bit where it's one of Jim's pranks on Dwight where he swaps in like his friend who's an actor, and it's actually Randall Park, the actor, and he tries to convince Dwight that Jim's been Asian the whole time.
It's a great scene.
It's so funny. Props on you for not seeing race.
Yeah. So Sandshrew crushes both the Ekans and the coughing, just knocks it out. And we get two good puns from Meowth, because Jesse and James tell him to stop just standing around. And he says, oh, he's been biding my time, and then goes for the bite.
He breaks his teeth.
On the Sandshrew. Breaks his teeth, and he says, oh, the moment of truth.
Yeah, and then Sandshrew is like, I saw Superman on TV last night where Lex Luthor bombs the San Andreas Fault and splits the Earth in half. And I'm going to try to do the same thing!
Yeah. Sandshrew just splits the Earth clean in twain.
Yeah. I love this Sandshrew. He's a Giga Chad. Like,
he is insane.
Like, I want a spin-off, not with AJ, just with the Sandshrew.
Just the Sandshrew? Yeah. This is great.
Sandshrew Commando.
AJ gets his 100th victory, and now that he's gotten 100 victories in a row, he's off to get some badges.
Yeah, and AJ and Ash are suddenly kind of friends. Like, and this is a shonen trope, too, is that there's an antagonist who's brought in, they have some kind of conflict, and then for some reason, now they're sort of like friends.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Okay.
And we'll see that in the next episode, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's a whole thing. But that is episode 8.
Yeah, PPPPOR. Time.
And our first category for episode 8, The Path to the Pokemon League, is the power of friendship.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So power of friendship moments. Wow. This is actually a really tough one for this, because one of the points of conflict is Ash seeing all of Pokemon training as friendship, and AJ seeing it as something a lot more rigid. So that's a core thing of conflict. There isn't an explicit "we triumphed with the power of friendship" moment, though.
No, but we do get backstory of, Sandshrew was the first Pokemon AJ caught, and they have this dream together to become the strongest Pokemon and trainer in the world. And so
I'm leaning towards the 7, because you're right that that's a good one. It isn't an explicit power of friendship moment, but
I was thinking 6, but
I'll lean to 6. I'll lean to 6. Yeah,
let's do 6.
Okay.
All right, and the second category will be antagonist likability. So who would the antagonist be? Would it be AJ?
Yeah, I think it's AJ.
I think that's a very low one then. I think like 3. I didn't like him.
No, I don't like him either. I liked Sandshrew a lot, and I didn't like AJ. the theme of the episode has left me so conflicted too. Like, it's not clean. It's actually a very messy exploration of something which could be nuanced, but it's not. So yeah, a 2. And that Hokie accent, like, it's so it's really silly, but not quite silly enough to be funny.
Yeah. So you say 2, I say 3, so 2.5, and with 6, let me pull out my calculator, because there's a decimal, and that is far too much for me to do in my head. Average of 4.25.
All right.
For the Path of the Pokemon League.
Fun stuff.
And that's episode 8. One more to go. We're getting through this.
Yeah, the triple decker.
Oh, baby, a triple.
Episode 9, The School of Hard Knocks. So
we open.
It begins. Yeah, Misty and Ash are arguing, of course.
It's a fun little animation sequence. I liked this.
Yeah, of their argument?
Yeah.
All right, dive into that.
Well, it's done in a very different style than the rest of the anime, the rest of the episode. They're in this, like, black and white kind of outline-ish thing, and it's over top of them all walking down the road, and Misty makes, like, my name may be Misty, but I'm clear about this, and, like, she starts flashing, like, clear and stuff. I think it's just a fun little animation.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brock says, we're gonna be late. We gotta start the show.
Yeah, that was a fourth wall break, right?
Yep, absolutely.
That's not common, is it?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first one we've seen, and we're 9 episodes in.
Yeah, he's like, come on, kids! Let's get this thing going! Yeah, and Brock is pretty funny in this episode. Oh, actually, I take that back. Brock's funny at the start, and then he's despicable. But
he's funny, save for, like, one real rough line.
Really rough line. But the start is funny because he's like, okay, he's gonna start, like, cooking for them and stuff, and he starts pulling out, like a French press for coffee, and then he's got, like, a tea set, and then he's gonna make French crepes, and Misty loves French stuff that's so romantic, and then Brock's, like mixing crepe batter, like, it's so over the top, and he's got all this stuff, like, in his backpack.
Yeah, it's interesting to note, because, like, he wants to make coffee, but he's flat out says that Ash and Misty are too young for coffee, so there's an age difference there that we haven't gotten concretely in the show what the age difference is. We just know Brock is at least a little bit older.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a Japanese line that sort of implies that Brock is 18 and that they're 10.
And we'll get to that when we get to that line. I'll bring up a little more about that when we get there, because it is gross. But there is a little more to that. But Ash is out looking for firewood now.
Yeah, so that's the MacGuffin that kicks off this episode, is that they need to find firewood so Brock can make crepes.
Yeah.
I was like...
That's the plot driver. The crepes.
Yeah, and that's where I had this moment where I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I'm going to go try to research comparative literature for that. I hate myself.
What comparison did you find for French crepes?
Nothing. Not for the MacGuffin. I fail. I do have ideas about the school, which we'll get to. And this is where the MacGuffin doesn't even matter, because now what's kicked off and what's the conflict of the episode is that there's a bunch of mist around, and Ash walks in and sees this really weird school hazing ritual. There's all these dudes, like a cult. There's all these dudes in these, like, preppy outfits.
Holding candles.
And one guy's on a treadmill, and they're quizzing him about Pokemon while he's on the treadmill.
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange.
Misty shows up, and they kind of get into a bit of an argument with these prep school people, and we've heard the phrase now, Pokemon Tech School. They're at some Pokemon Tech School. It seems like they're going to get into a brawl, but then they're just like, no, we don't fight. Let's go.
Yeah, so Misty offers to help Ash fight off these hooligans.
Yeah. And
he turns down the help, and so she says, okay, I'll just help you, I'll just drag your corpse back afterwards.
These kids might kill you. if you don't accept my help.
So now Brock's here now. He left their campsite for some reason. And we learned the kids are from the Pokemon Technical Institute, which is a boarding school meant to put kids into league participation without having to go earn badges.
Yeah, so you can get into this. You can basically get into the league without doing the dirty work, I guess. So they've got these different. Levels. So you can be a beginner, and that's equivalent to 2 badges. Getting through the kind of the beginner course. Intermediate is 4 badges, and then there's some other that's 6 badges. So basically, if you excel at this school, you can just kind of skip the other stuff. And they make some lines about, okay, this is like a snobby school for rich people. So they've sort of introduced a bit of a pay-to-win mechanic in the society.
I think it's a biting commentary on the fact that, there's no replacement for actual experience. You can read all you want, but if you can't apply those skills, then what good are you?
It's a biting commentary on how a lot of society is not a level playing field. Because these people have a totally different viewpoint of what it means to be a great Pokemon trainer, and apparently it's just because of money.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see it later with the simulation that they use. Like, the kid can crank out the simulation all he wants, but when it comes to actually battling, he can't. It's worthless.
Right, and that's where the show sort of pivots from, oh yeah, and by the way, it's not actually that big of a deal, because the people who get their hands dirty, they're way better anyways.
Yeah.
So, the show has a way of starting to set up something kind of meaningful, starting to say something meaningful, and then copping out of the message.
Yeah, and so when we're talking about what the school is, there's a fun little sequence going on on the bottom of the screen, basically, with Pikachu and the treadmill.
Oh, yeah.
He accidentally turns on the treadmill and he starts running, and Brock accidentally speeds it up, and Pikachu falls off the treadmill, and he gets frustrated with it and kicks it, and it hurts his foot. Just very, very cute sequence. There's one other cute Pikachu moment in this episode we'll get to later. But good cute Pikachu moments episode. Yeah, and we learned that levels are, in fact, canonical in the anime, because Joe starts talking about what level Pidgey evolves, what level it learns its moves at. So levels are a canonical thing.
Yeah, and that's a big deal in this episode, actually. The different levels.
And we see the fog was a thing created by the school. They were talking about fog battles, battling in fog, and tomorrow they're going to do snow strategies, battling in snow, which is interesting because those are weather effects we'll see later in the series, that weather was not a thing in Generation 1. So this is kind of a foreshadowing to future generations.
It's also just a flex on the school's budget again. That's like they have like weather manipulation.
Yeah.
It's like very over the top.
It's interesting. And so we learned that there's all this mistreatment kind of going on in this school, and one person is behind
bullying.
One person is behind it. It's one girl. Her name is Giselle. And the guys all let it happen because they just think she's really hot.
Yeah, and this stuff is so weird and kind of gross.
Well, they're all kids.
Except for Brock. Maybe.
Yeah, okay, so he pulls up the picture and Brock looks at it and he says, "Oh, she can violate my rights anytime."
Yeah, Ash goes, "This is a violation of student rights." And Brock goes, "She can violate my rights if you know what I mean." Like, he doesn't say if you know what I mean, but he might as well have.
So this line was cut from the kids' WB edit. Good. It was interesting. But I wanted to do a little research here just to see on what level of gross this is.
And it's grosser. It gets grosser.
Actually, I think it gets less gross because according to Brock's original character sheet, when the anime was starting, he is 15, not 18.
Oh, okay.
So he's not like 20 and being disgusting. But it is still gross, but it's not as gross.
So apparently in the original Japanese, though, he says, "I'll look forward to her in 8 years."
Yeah, and that's what's weird, because he is 15. And like these character sheets are the original Japanese ones. And so he's 15 in Japan, too. Maybe there's some sort of thing about dating when you're 18 or something. I don't know. Or, just like dating a 10-year-old when you're 15 is also just really, really weird.
It's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. It's weird.
All the guys are losing it over this girl, too. And then it quickly becomes with her, like, a beauty isn't skin deep kind of thing. Or beauty is skin deep kind of thing. Because she's actually, like, kind of a piece of trash. Mm-hmm. She's not a very nice person.
Garbage.
Yeah.
And then Team Rocket. We see Team Rocket again. We learn that they were once students at the school. And they got the lowest scores in history.
That might explain a lot. They've gone through some trauma. Because this school is like a place full of bullying. It's like a psychological warfare sort of school.
Yeah. But they got the lowest scores in history. So that's why they're in the life of crime. They flunked out and they're
dropouts.
Yeah. That's slippery slope, kids.
Why was Meowth wearing a trench coat while he was telling this story?
Who knows?
I didn't get that illusion.
It's just Meowth being Meowth, I think.
Oh, wear a trench coat to tell this story.
Yeah, this is weird. So Ash is still flexing his two badges. And we see that the school has the simulator, which is a very cute touch because it looks just like the games.
It's literally just the Pokemon game.
Yeah.
They're like, we went down to the store, we went down to Walmart, we bought Pokemon Red, we got it here.
And so Misty challenges the kid to a battle to try and show him that, simulation is different from real life. And the kid thinks he's going to win because his Weepin' Bell is a grass type, which is strong against Misty's Starmie's water type. But Misty knocks out the Weepin' Bell in one hit.
Right.
With a water move, which is supposed to be resisted. How could this possibly happen?
And it's all because of levels.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently the Staryu is higher leveled.
Mm-hmm. And so we meet Giselle for the first time. The guys all fall over her, but she is awful.
Yeah, she's definitely the ringleader of the bullying. She's very annoying too, like really preaching this message of like, okay, we're the best, everyone else sucks. Yeah, and so it's not a very deep message, but it is this like, okay, beauty's only skin deep kind of thing. She says she's blessed with humility as well as beauty, but she's just full of it. And she's got a Graveler so strong that it can beat a water type.
Yeah, the thing is over-leveled, must be. It's like level 60 or something. What's going on?
Yeah, so they've done that thing again about teaching us mechanics. I guess through the story, we've been exposed more and more to type matchups, and they're like, this episode is kind of like, oh, by the way, types aren't the only thing that matters. And so this is kind of true, right? Like, you could have a Graveler so strong, you could just beat a water type, right?
Yeah. I mean, any Pokemon can beat any Pokemon if it's strong enough. Theoretically. Like, an Earthquake from a Graveler will kill a Starmie if you're even at the same level, because water doesn't... It's not like water resists ground.
Right.
But Starmie's usually going to win because it's just way faster.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, there is precedent for a Graveler being able to take out a Starmie. It's not some kind of sacrilege thing that I like to point out.
That's the kind of mechanic that it's taught here. Well, it's been 2 months since Ash turned 10.
I had that written down too. Giselle asks Ash how long he's been a trainer, and he says 2 months. So we actually get a concrete timestamp, and I think we should keep track of these. So it's been 2 months since the start of the show, and
I'm assuming at some point though any sort of timeline gets thrown out the window.
Probably, right? But
like with 1,000 episodes,
in terms of like canonical, yes. But I think it would still be fun to try and keep track of how old Ash technically should be at any given time, because he's always 10.
2 months,
but it's been 2 months now. So when's it going to be 10 months from this point?
Exactly.
So Giselle starts just spouting numbers out at Ash and the gang, talking about, this Pokemon is like this, so it should be like this and this and this and this and this. And it's absolutely fucking unbearable.
Yeah, it's very pretentious. She's saying that Ash should have 6 Pokemon by now, at least level 25, Where's your Pikachu at?
Mm-hmm.
Can't even control your Pikachu. Why would you pick a Pikachu? Pikachu are notoriously, they don't listen. They do their own thing. Why would you pick a Pikachu, you dumb piece of crap? And then she does the rich girl laugh. So this is an anime video game cliche. I don't know if this is like a Western media thing, but it immediately made me think of in Street Fighter. There's a character named Karen who does this rich girl laugh, and it's so over the top and hilarious. And this is the same one. They kind of like turn their head and put their hand in front of their mouth and go, ho, 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 ho. It's like a big laugh like that. I loved it.
Is it a great impression?
So dumb.
Great impression.
Yeah, I can't do it. But
And so to prove how good she is, she sends out her Cubone to fight Ash, and Ash sends out his Pikachu because his pride has been hurt. He needs to beat this thing with Pikachu.
This is the cute Pikachu moment. This is awesome.
Mm-hmm. Walk us through that. What is the cute Pikachu moment?
Cubone uses Leer, which is a debuff, right?
Yes.
And I don't really get what it did in the show, though. It kind of just makes Pikachu spin for a second. I don't know. but then Ash is like, well, why don't you just look at it back? so Pikachu stretches out his face. He's like, I'm gonna have a staring contest, and they're walking at each other having a staring contest, which is a pretty funny twist on Leer.
Yeah, it was cute. But before that, Ash commands Pikachu to use Shock Attack. Not a move! Not a move, Ash. You're thinking of Thundershock.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Ugh, my God.
He's so bad. He's so dumb.
So they have this staring contest, and then Cubone Giselle tells Cubone to use Bone Club, and he just whacks Pikachu with the bone, which I thought was funny.
Ash thinks that should be illegal. They're like, nope, it's a legal move. You can throw your bone.
Yeah, because he uses Bone Meringue, which is the Cubone signature attack, and Ash thinks it's bullshit, and she says the Bone Meringue is a move authorized by the League. So there are authorized moves, and there must be non-authorized moves.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly enough.
Interesting.
And one of those non-authorized moves, I feel should be what Pikachu does next, because it just takes Cubone's skull and flips it around.
Yeah.
Just blinds Cubone. And then it starts scratching at Cubone and biting at Cubone, and the Bone Meringue that Cubone threw earlier comes back, whaps Cubone in the face, Cubone's out, Pikachu's won. Somehow.
Yeah, and Pikachu is so off the books. And Ash too. I don't really get why this battle makes Ash remotely a good trainer. Because if you look down, if you kind of boil it down to what are Ash's moves, what are the decisions he makes in this, his exact line is, give it everything you've got, Pikachu. That's his contribution. Mm-hmm. And then Pikachu just, goes animal mode, starts scratching and flipping out, and okay.
Yeah.
Give it everything you've got, Pikachu.
Mm-hmm. And then Team Rocket comes back, and they're going to steal all the Pokemon. But they get foiled immediately. Probably the fastest foil.
Oh, yeah. This is
far.
Such a waste of my time.
It was kind of funny.
The kids just all show up, and they don't even throw out their Pokemon.
They just throw Pokeballs.
They hit them with their Pokeballs.
But it's interesting, because we get a line that we've talked about before, when they all try to fight Team Rocket, and they're like, but 1 against 1 is the rule. And then Giselle go, bad guys don't play by the rules. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bad guys don't play by the rules.
Which is something we've talked about, because they haven't been playing by the rules. So why are they trying to enforce them?
And they're 100% typecast now. It's everyone in this world seems to recognize that Team Rocket, they're bad guys. So you can do whatever you want to them.
Yeah.
Laws go out, all rules go out the window.
Mm-hmm. And so we end the episode. Joe is going to go back home. Him and Giselle are friends now. Aw, it's adorable. How cute.
Adorable.
Ash and Misty can't be like that, though, because he still owes her a bike. And that's how it ends.
Be like that. Well, you owe me a bike. Yeah. Good stuff.
That he'll never give back.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's the episode.
Yeah. It was okay.
It was a fine episode.
Yeah, for themes, it's really just this boarding school full of bullying, and that's definitely a thing. I think there's a George Orwell it wasn't a book, it was like an essay or something that kind of about his experiences in British boarding schools. It reminds me of Pink Floyd, Another Brick in the Wall. It's about like kind of the trauma that this sort of setting can almost cause to you. There's a book I read by Kazuo Ishiguro called Never Let Me Go that's about boarding schools, but it has a really weird, dark twist where they're all being... I don't want to spoil it because it's a pretty good book for those of you who want to read it, and it's not that old. But it's got this dark twist where the kids aren't just there to learn, they're there for some other dark reason. Dun, dun, dun. But it really gets into the psychology of bullying and making alliances in these settings, and yeah, it's pretty twisted stuff. I think that there is actually a really dark psychological slant to this episode, as was the last one, that is not dealt with any nuance. It's not, they don't dive into it at all, but
an interesting through line. Guess it's a good thing we did 3 episodes today.
Yeah, these episodes are really moral confusion.
Yeah, I'm
better for used moral confusion.
All right, let's rate this one.
Yep. Category 1.
Category 1 is Ash moron moments.
Oh, God.
There's too many to count.
Yeah, in this episode specifically,
well,
though,
he's flexing his badges like an idiot.
Yeah.
So that's something.
His contributions to the match are dumb.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
But other than that,
look, give him a funny face back. But that was funny.
I think Misty has the most contribution to the plot of this episode. So not a ton of Ash being a moron, but I think.
But there's still a couple of good ones.
There's still a couple of good ones.
I give it an 8.
An 8? You know, that high? Really? I was thinking 6.
Okay.
So I think we can
7,
go 7.
then.
We can go 7.
Yeah.
All right. And category number 2 is the plot.
Ooh.
2.
Really, that low?
I thought you would be even lower.
No, I kind of like it in a way. I don't know. I also kind of hate it, though. It's like the beginning is so poorly set up. But I do think this idea of like a classist school, I think there was a lot of opportunity there. And it, makes you think a bit. So I actually want to go as high as a 6. Because I don't mind the setting. Yeah, I kind of like the setting. And I think I just don't think they deliver on it enough. But
interesting. All right, well, we can average that down to a 4.
Yeah,
and
that's fine.
What was the other thing that we said? What was our other number?
For Ash Moron moments?
Yeah.
Well, I went as high as an 8.
And I said 6, so 7. So 7 and 4, 5.5.
Yeah.
5.5 for this episode. I think that's the same as the first episode we covered today.
Interesting.
But in a different...
I mean, that's funny because, did I like this episode? Not really.
Yeah, it was fine.
I didn't hate it.
I didn't dislike... I haven't actively disliked an episode yet.
No, I'd say at worst, this show can be kind of boring because, it's heavy on repetition. Right?
Yeah.
It's like we're back to the same stuff.
Yeah, you said last week, you didn't really care for the episodes because they're starting to get into this repetitive thing, and I thought... Man, if you think they're repetitive now, you're in for a fucking ride.
Oh boy.
It's going to be a long 10 years of watching Pokemon.
Well, I think that's okay, because I think what we'll do is pull out the parts that are more different or interesting, everyone. Just weird lines. So it's kind of what we've been doing already.
Yeah.
Some of the really repetitive stuff, like Team Rocket, you're just like...
Yeah, they were here. They're gone.
They were here. They're gone.
Especially in episodes like this where they really have no... impact on anything.
Oh, they force Team Rocket into every episode. Force it. Shoehorned.
Yeah. Well, those are the episodes we're covering today. That's it.
Yeah, tell us what's going to happen next week. What episodes are we doing?
Next week we are covering another 3 episodes. We'll be taking a look at episodes 10, 11, and 12. Bulbasaur in the Hidden Village, Charmander, the Stray Pokemon, and Here Comes the Squirtle Squad. And just from those titles alone, you can probably guess why we're doing all 3 of those in one episode.
Yeah, these are bangers.
These are all the starters.
The elements.
We're going to the starters.
Fire,
then we'll be back.
Grass,
Then we'll be back to 2 episodes for a little bit.
I'm looking forward to these next episodes.
Oh, I think these are going to be good ones because these ones have some real impact. These are some really there's some major events that go on in these episodes
and memorable. Like I think that these are the episodes that actually people typically remember from their childhood when they think back. Are the next 3. They're really not the 2 that we just reviewed. Nobody remembers AJ. Nobody remembers Giselle. Sorry, they just don't.
Yeah, these were the first 2 real filler episodes.
Real fillers, yeah.
But I think the next while is actually pretty solid on terms
pretty
of...
strong.
Pretty strong in terms of what goes on.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. So, reminder, you can find us on YouTube. We're on most of the major podcast platforms.
Let's
now.
rattle them off. Spotify, Google, Apple, Stitcher.
Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
I think that's it. iTunes. Yeah. Like I said, we said that.
There's a couple others, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah, so please rate us on those platforms. Review us really helps out. If you're using Spotify, set
Amazon,
your episodes to auto download. Oh yeah, Amazon as well. So wherever you can find podcasts,
wherever you listen to your podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we'll be back next week with another 3 episodes. Woo!
Yeah, and comments are welcome on YouTube, and you can also reach out to us at tequiladelibird@gmail.com.
Like, comment, share, follow, subscribe, and like.
Hit that button.
Oh, yeah.
All right. See ya.
Bye. We needed an outro song.